What's going on, Jake? What's happening?
What is going on? The World Cup's going on, Charlie. It's crazy, awesome. There's Croatian men roaming the streets.
Your dream's coming true. I read your dream journal. I know that's always what you wanted.
We don't have to get into that. That gets a little too raunchy for the podcast. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. Lots of people having fun and exciting times. And we have absolutely no soccer-themed pitches. I guess you could go back and you can read. Don't forget to bribe the.
No, we have one.
Refs.
Yeah,
that's my one.
We have. Don't forget to bribe the refs.
Yeah, that's it.
And what's the other one? It's not a soccer-themed pitch, but the title is stolen from a documentary about a soccer player.
No, it's not.
Right?
It's stolen from a Formula One documentary.
Oh, okay.
That was No Fear, No Limits, No Future, or something like that. Or No Fear, No Limits, something else. No Equal. No Equal. Oh, yeah.
No Equal. Yeah.
No Fear, No Limits, No Equal.
Well, whatever. We don't have any soccer-themed pitches because we don't like soccer at the Very Reasonable Pilots podcast, and we think calling it football is dumb. Actually, no. I'm an enjoyer of soccer.
Are you? I don't. That's not true.
I enjoy a good game from time to time. I'm gonna go watch the England-Mexico game tonight.
Are you gonna be rooting for Mexico or England?
Yes, fucking Mexico, of course.
I can't help. The England team, they're too likable. They're really likable. I know you don't.
They are really likable.
You say your small soccer knowledge might prevent you from knowing that they're all likable, but they all are very likable people.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Very Reasonable Pilots podcast. I'm your host, Charles Long. With me, as always, is my co-host, editor, producer, co-pilot, gunner, navigator, orator, and podcasting associate, Jacob Gloth. How you doing today, Jacob?
I am swell, Charles, and excited for another episode of the podcast. We pitch new TV shows every single week. New ideas, new storylines, new worlds, new characters, all packaged into either TV shows or short stories or films or that play you did one time. All very exciting stuff. But this week, it is your turn. You're back at us with another pitch, another show or TV show or whatever it's going to be. And this week, Charlie, it is called...
Up is Down.
Up is Down. So that's a title that I gave you last week.
Yes.
And so you got to come up with something that makes sense with it or doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
As I've done a couple of times.
It's a juggling man in space. That's what it's about. It's a man juggling in space.
That's it. All right. Thanks for everyone for watching this week.
And it's Ryan Gosling, and he meets a little rock man. No, I'm not doing that. People have been telling me to watch Project Hail Mary again, and I feel like it can't be all that good. People are talking about that movie like it's the fucking second coming of Christ, and it's like it seems like it's just a good science fiction movie. But
I think it's probably just a good science fiction movie. I read the book. The book's actually spectacular.
Yeah, I read The Martian twice. I love The Martian, the book and the movie. I want to read it. I want to watch the movie, but I'm just like, I'll wait for the hype to cool down a little bit. But there is no hype built around Up is Down because you don't know what it is yet. But it's not a TV show, Jake. It's not a play. It is, in fact, a film. Because I couldn't figure out how to make Up is Down into a serialized story, so I decided to make it into just a story. So we open, right? No credits yet, it's just open on white, right? You know how movies open on a black screen? Well, this opens on a white screen. You know, we're already flipping the script on its head. We're already mavericks, pushing the boundaries of what is accomplishable with the medium of film and art, right? But we open on a white screen, and we could hear sort of a muffled scream, right? And it goes for like a second, and then it stops, and then it goes again, and then it stops, and it goes a third time, and then we can kind of hear the crunching of snow and the whistling of wind as we close in on this woman's face as she's trapped in the snow. Her entire body is encased in white snow. And she can't make heads or tails of where she is. And she remembers, right? Like we hear an internal monologue or a narration. She remembers when she was reading this book about this survivalist and how if you ever get trapped in snow, what you should do is spit. And that way you can figure out which direction you are, right? Like what direction up is and which direction down is, right? Because if you're trapped in snow, you could be, in any position because it's snow. And so she spits, and we see the spit roll down her face because she is completely upside down, right? Because up is down, right?
Yeah. Is she gonna, lean back and try to grab the lightsaber that's in the snow below her in the cave? And Obi-Wan's Force Ghost is gonna instruct her how to do it?
Is gonna whisper in her ears, and then there's gonna be a big monster, and you're gonna cut his arm off?
Yeah.
No, there should be a monster in this movie, but there isn't. Unless you count Midlife Crisis, he's a monster.
Oh, no.
Opening. Yeah. Opening, right? Up is down. We get our title, our main stars, right? We kind of do a sweeping camera motions through New York City. It's bustling. It's busy, right? It's hot. It's a summer, right? Everybody's miserable. And then we cut to this young woman who's sitting inside of an air-conditioned building in New York City, right? There we go. Okay, sorry, I gotta turn the page. Samantha Weaver is an underpaid, underappreciated book editor working for Ostrich Books. She is currently reading a manuscript of a new John Grisham novel written by somebody other than John Grisham. She's suffering the classic abuse of her bosses and the, ridicule and insults of her coworkers, right? She lives a very humdrum existence. She's very frumpy, right? And her boss doesn't appreciate her. Her coworkers kind of ostracize her, and she doesn't deal with it very well, but she's very interior. She's very isolated and very introverted, so she doesn't know really how to deal with it. And she goes home after, working all day at Ostrich Books, right, as an editor. And she gets home and she sees that her fish, Herman, has died. And she bursts into tears. She gives him a proper burial by dumping him into the toilet and flushing it away as she opens a bottle of wine and sits on her couch and just watches the TV and passes out on the couch with a bottle of red wine in her hand, right? She wakes up the next day, gets ready, gets dressed, washes her face, brushes her teeth, the whole thing, and she gets to work, right? And she finds this new novella on her desk, and she's excited about it because she didn't know what it was. And so she picked it up, and it's very short. It's only 90 pages or whatever. So she tears through it in the first half of the day. And it's a manuscript about the Sherpa who gets trapped in a mountainous crevasse, and how he, sees the ghosts and visions of everyone in his life, like his wife and his children and the grandchildren he could have and his grandparents. And the Sherpa comes to terms with life and death and his place in the world and everything like that. And this book is so powerful and so sincere and tightly written that it brings Samantha to tears. And she insists that this book should be published by Ostrich, and it's phenomenal and it deserves a place on the shelves. And she sends it away, right? About an hour later, she notices that the manuscript for the book about the Sherpa is in the trash outside of her boss's office. And she goes to ask him about it, and her boss tells her, dismissively obviously, that it's crap. Who cares? It's not marketable. It's not interesting, right? That's not... People aren't going to see that on Book Talk and go buy it, right? So your new assignment is on your desk, and it's the latest in a series of tawdry romance novels written by a 20-year-old from Book Talk, right? And she gets 3 or 4 chapters in, and it's the same shit as every other romance novel. It's friends to lovers and all, friends to lovers and all this crap, and she's getting through it and kind of muscling it down before, without warning, without really anything, she sighs, she closes the book, she drops it in the trash, and she goes into her boss's office and she resigns. And almost wordlessly, she goes back to her house and she begins putting her things on Facebook Marketplace to sell, right? We see a few days pass of her kind of liquidating everything that she has, finishing off her lease, you know, that sort of thing. And then we see her on a plane with a bag and a copy of Moby Dick, which is her favorite novel. And she's sitting on...
Whose
yeah,
favorite
I know,
novel
right?
is Moby Dick?
The woman who named her fish after the author, Herman Melville. Yeah. There's pieces. No. Because it's a fish.
Herman.
Well, yeah.
You can't have a fish named Ahab?
No,
That
you
would be
could.
weird, actually.
It would
should
be a
not
little
be
weird,
Ahab.
right? She should be Ahab, at least. Or maybe she
change
has
her
yeah. Maybe she has like a little, you know how fish tanks will have like little guys in them? Maybe she has like a little pirate figure in the fish tank, and she's like, oh, Ahab. You know, we could have like her, you know, jokingly, offhandedly mention that that's Ahab. But her favorite book's Moby Dick. And maybe there's some thematic reasoning why her favorite book is Moby Dick. But she's on a plane reading Moby Dick, sitting in first class. And she arrives at the Swiss Alps, and she spends the night sleeping in a hostel, right? Not really talking to anyone, not really engaging with anyone but herself. But she's still very internal. She's still very introverted. But she, she started this new phase of her life, and she's excited and nervous and all of these like conflicting emotions. But she sighs and she goes to bed. And in her dreams, she thinks about the Sherpa. The next morning, she wakes up and she goes to this very small mountaineering company. And she finds out that they're doing a guided beginner's grade mountaineering expedition into the Alps. And she signs up. Cut to her hand cracking out of the snow as Samantha Weaver pulls herself out of the avalanche, out of the snowbank, as if she's dragging herself from a grave. And this woman, this meek, introverted woman, has been replaced by a survivor, by somebody who will not die. This is not going to be how she dies. And so we see her wordlessly climb out of the snowbank and then climb down the mountain, descend a little bit, get into a cave, and start building up her, fire and getting her tent set up and everything. And we see her count how much food she has left and figuring out how long of a walk it is from where she is to the base camp and everything, and all this stuff, almost wordlessly. And then we see her crack into Moby Dick as she sits by the fire and eats some trail mix or some berries or something very light, and she doesn't have a lot of food. And she goes to bed. And the next morning she wakes up and she's kind of revitalized. We could see the snow on her face and the very bright sunshine that you get when you're surrounded by snow, and it's all reflecting off of the white. And she's putting on her sunglasses, and she's tired, and she's got sunburn on her face, and she's exhausted, but she's also got a smile. And it's kind of the first time that we've seen Samantha wearing a smile at all. She's gonna beat the odds. She is going to survive. There isn't even a question of if she's going to die up here, right? So she descends down further and further down the mountain. She figures that she might not be able to make it to base camp tonight, but she will be able to make it to base camp the next day, And then she hears a voice, and she's like, what? And she hears a voice, not shouting, but speaking. Weakly asking for help, and she looks over a crevasse, and she sees on a cliff's edge in the crevasse is her mountaineering instructor, right? And so she rappels down to see him, and he's like, oh my god, Samantha, it's so nice to see you, thank god you're alive. And she looks down and she sees that both of his legs have been snapped in half. He's not going anywhere, right? And the instructor looks down and he realizes the same thing. And she tries to cope with it. She tries to figure out, well, if you strap yourself to my back, or if you do something we can get you out, we can save you, whatever. And he's like, no. Because if you do that, you're just going to end up dead. Like, if you try and save me, you're just going to end up killing both of us. Like, this is the end of the road for me. I'm not going to make it. But I know that base camp is about a day's walk from where we are, and I have food in my pack. And so he hands her his food rations and then encourages her to leave him there. And it doesn't want to at first. She's baffled, angered that he would ever suggest the idea, but he insists, and eventually Samantha relents and she climbs out of the crevasse, and then she's walking further down the mountain, right? And we hear from the crevasse a low, meaty thud, and the audience and Samantha is left to wonder what that was, but I think we can all figure out what it was. Samantha curls up into another small, like, outcropping cave, and she eats a full meal of the rations that her instructor gave her, and she finishes Moby Dick, right? It was her 15th reread of the novel, and she finishes it, and she slides it into her bag, and she goes to sleep. She wakes up the next day and silently marches down the mountain. And as the sun descends, right, and as the sun begins to set, she wanders into base camp. And everyone looks at her amazed and horrified, and she's sunburnt, her lips are chapped, right, her glasses are cracked, her snowsuit's torn. But she lands at the base camp, and then she falls to her knees and passes out on the ground. Samantha wakes up in a Swiss hospital. Right, she's being treated for malnutrition, dehydration, a few other things, but everything's very surface level, and she's going to be fine. And she's happy to hear that, and she asks if they went back to find her instructor or any of the other people that were on the mountaineering trip. And they kind of shake their heads silently, but somberly. And she knows that she was the only survivor. And then she's in the hospital for a few days as she recovers, right? And she tries to open up Moby Dick again, but she, can't really motivate herself. She's not really that excited to read it, and so she closes it. And she, as she is about to be checked out of the hospital, the hospital staff let her know, hey, just so you know, there is a lot of reporters outside. They heard that you were going to get out today, and you're kind of a national news story, right? The meek American who survived 3 days stranded in the mountains, after an avalanche.
Yeah, of course.
And so she steps out of the hospital, and we kind of see a lot of flashing cameras. Cut to her sitting at a cafe on the French Riviera. She's got on her fingers those like what do you call it? They're bands that people wear when they have muscular problems that help them with their muscular problems. And she's wearing the bands on one of her hands, and she's got a laptop open, right? And she's got a baguette, and she's got a cup of coffee, and she's smoking a cigarette. And we can see it. The laptop is open on a Word document, and at the top of the Word document is the title, Up is Down. That's the end of the movie. Samantha Weaver, everyone. She's a meek book editor who turned herself into a survivalist writer. And isn't that exciting?
Oh, it is.
But yeah, I told you it was gonna be a short one, but I feel like it's a fun story, you know?
It's a nice little tale of this very meek person becoming a cool survivalist figure.
Yeah, and I was thinking Florence Pugh as Samantha. I think Florence Pugh would do a very good job, because I think you would need to. I think she is very good at face acting. And I think that Samantha, because so much of it is communicated non-verbally, you need to get somebody who's got a really expressive face.
I bet she's really good at looking cold.
I bet she'd look amazing at looking cold. And she can do an American accent. I mean, look how good she is at her Russian accent in those Marvel movies. It's incredible. I forget that she's not Russian in real life.
Oh, I assumed she must have been. What?
Yeah, her and David Harbour must both be Russian because their accents are so realistic.
The Russian accent is one of those that you can just be bad at it and no one will really care for some reason.
And no one gives a shit.
If you do a bad English accent, people will lose their mind on the internet.
But nobody cares if you're doing a bad Russian accent or a bad American accent. Might I add, people do bad American accents all the time, and we're like, it's fine.
Yeah, who cares?
For example, I think, and this is a controversial opinion, I think Benedict Cumberbatch doesn't do a very good American accent. I said it. I don't think it's.
If you were gonna say Christian Bale, I was gonna have to maybe end the podcast.
No, Christian Bale's accent's incredible.
It's so good. People thought he was American.
Yeah, of course. I thought he was American. It depresses me that the last American Batman we got was Ben Affleck. Angers me greatly. But the other...
I guess technically it was Michael Keaton, right? Because the Flash movie was after.
Oh shit, you're right, it was Michael Keaton. Well, technically, the last Batman we see in that movie is George Clooney.
Okay, so George Clooney is the last American Batman.
Oh my god, that's
actually great.
Hateful.
Or if you count the animated stuff, it's Jensen Ackles.
Yes, and that's cool. I'm okay with
that one. Yeah, he'd be a good Batman. I feel like
he would be a good Batman. I think, he would be a good Batman. I do want to say he'd be incredible. My other inspiration for this, and this is. I think about this movie a lot, like more than I think the people who made it. But the third Chronicles of Riddick movie, genuinely, was like one of the reasons that I did the story like this. Because that third Chronicle of Riddick movie, like the first half of it is almost completely silent, as Vin Diesel is just like surviving on a crazy alien world. And so I love that sort of thing of just like it's a silent survivor in a crazy environment, you know? So that was what I was also thinking about. So the Chronicles of Riddick, but Florence Pugh.
And a little bit more grounded.
No space dogs, no crazy aliens, just kind of a hallucinatory Sherpa. I was also thinking about maybe having the Sherpa kind of sitting next to her throughout the movie. Like, silent, never saying anything, but every once in a while, like, she's on the airplane and there's the Sherpa sitting next to her. Or she's on the...
Are you gonna... Wait, because you could do it like in a... I mean, the way you have it is good, but just because of the way you're saying it right now. If I don't know if you played the first Call of Duty Black Ops, but there's a thing in that where there's this character called Reznov, who you think is real for the entire... This is a spoiler if you haven't played Call of Duty Black Ops for the audience. For the entire game, you think this is a guy that broke out of prison with you. And it turns out, at like near the end of the game, you find out he died, and your mind is like really fucked up from some severe torture, and like you're like a sort of a sleeper cell agent or whatever as well. And like this guy has just been totally fabricated in your memory for most of your life, and he died like forever ago, and you've just sort of placed his memory, all these points throughout your life, and like have been talking to a ghost, and like there are little hints throughout of like you talking to someone that's not there, and the guy in front of you being like, who the fuck are you talking to? Come on, let's move on.
I like that. I would worry it's a little too Tyler Durden-y. Not even too Tyler Durden-y. It's I wouldn't want the Sherpa character to kind of take away from her own
her struggle.
Yeah. I think that because in that instance, like, the Sherpa would be fake, and obviously at the end the audience would realize the Sherpa's fake and he was just a manifestation of her own her confidence was manifested as the Sherpa. But I think it'd be more interesting if she was just by herself, and every once in a while it would be like a surrealist, magical realism sort of thing, that like you just had this character who would be there and is never addressed by the audience, is never addressed by the character, but he's just there kind of sitting like the silent watcher. Because I do think that like she's chasing meaning in life in the same way that Captain Ahab is chasing the whale. And so the Sherpa is kind of representative of the whale and by extension, you know, a meaningful existence. So I feel like him talking and him being a character and not more of a totem would take away from that a little bit. That's how I feel.
Yeah, I agree.
I do art. I think about art. Do you find that hard to tell people, Jake, that you like art?
That I like.
I feel like people don't. Yeah, people don't think I think about art very deeply. I think people look at me and they're like, he likes Batman, and I'm like, I do like Batman.
You do.
I do like Batman.
That's an interesting question. I don't know. If you can, I have this great ability to remember things that Jerry Rose said in Jerry Rose, our art appreciation teacher in high school.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I can pretend like I know what I'm talking about, which maybe is good enough.
But I feel like you do know what you talk. Like, we've spent the last, 5 years? Surely. Is it 5 years? Have we been doing this podcast for 5 years?
Yeah.
Shit.
2021, I think, was the pandemic. So yeah.
Damn, yeah. We've been doing this for the last 5 years. We've been writing a story every week. So I feel like we think about art. We think about emotions and, resonance and pathos and, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I try. I don't get too. I mean, I don't bring this up to people in public. I don't. Yeah, is this how you flirt with girls at bars, Charlie? You walk up and he's like, "Do you care? What do you think about a character's motivations? Is that what you fucking do?"
I don't do that, but I have been in the instance more than once where I will experience some piece of art with someone, like watching a movie, or we have a shared interest in a TV show or a book or something.
You're about to say the funniest thing.
What?
Oh, you just they watch it and you feel like they just didn't really appreciate it, and I did because I'm such an artor. I can really understand and encapsulate what's in front of me.
That is not what I was gonna say. What I was gonna say is I will say something that means I've thought about that piece of art, and people will be surprised. I would never say that.
People look at you and think you're dumber than you are. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, exactly. I think people think I'm a lot dumber than I actually
that's better
am.
Than where I thought you were going briefly for a second.
Yeah, I'm not gonna go around and be like, I'm so much smarter than everyone. Yeah. I'm so good at art. I know everything about art. I could tell you everything. No, I think people are surprised when I think about these things. I think people think I'm more surface level than I am. And I want to know if you're having if people think the same about you, or maybe it's just me.
Well, write us in the comments if you think Charlie is a shallow, useless human being, or if he's got depth to him. Do you think this story shows that he's got depth or not?
I think the time is always now. If nobody comments,
that means you have you're shallow. So there has to be at least one.
Shit.
And it can't be you or an alternative.
Okay. Okay, damn it. No, okay, then I am 100% shallow. Thank you all.
Well, sorry about that.
Thank you all for listening to the Very Reasonable Pilots podcast. I've been your host, Charles. Along with me, he's always been my co-host, editor, producer, co-pilot, gunner, navigator, orator, and podcasting associate, Jacob Gloth. If you like what you heard here and you want to hear more, please give it a like, follow, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your dog, tell your cat, and remember, we'll be here next week with a brand new televisual series for you to imagine and enjoy. And the title of that series will be, can you guess, folks? It's the one that we didn't end up doing last week.
Yeah, the Diamond Walrus.
That's
it's
right.
Written. It'll be there. You'll get to experience it. It's not. I promise. This is not a diversion. I won't do another short story, even though I have another one ready.
Yeah, I was thinking about doing a short story this week just to fuck with you, but I'm like, no, I can't do that.
That wouldn't fuck with me because you just did. I just did one, so that would.
Yeah.
Nah, see that wouldn't fuck with me. If you could catch me off guard at an episode 10 where you're like, fuck it, we're not doing an episode 10, I'm doing a short story today. That would throw me off.
Oh, that would be a good one.
I don't think you'd think of that, except now that I've said it out loud, so maybe you would think about it. But
I probably wouldn't do that.
I think you would respect the sanctity of the number 10.
I do respect the sanctity of our episode 10s. I also like the fact that we don't have to prepare anything. It's my favorite thing about episode 10.
Yeah.
Is that we just show up and do it.
This week's episode 10, Charlie wrote an entire novel, and we're now going to spend the next 20 episodes reading it.
I've never written a novel. You've written a novel. I've written books of poetry.
Oh. See that, ladies? He's super cool. He's just trying to show off for himself.
I don't know. Every time I write something, like, I'm like, ooh, this could be a novel, I finish it. And then I'm like, this isn't, it's not good enough to be a novel.
Yeah, you gotta have,
a
really long idea, which is difficult.
Yeah, and I don't love having really long ideas. I think brevity is the soul of wit. I like being quick and to the point. I also like road trips. That's most of the stories that I write are road trip stories to a degree. Although I did just write a story that is real fucked up, and it's not a road trip at all.
Have you been on a road trip?
Yeah, I've been on lots of road trips.
Well, I mean, like a proper longer than 24 hours distance road trip.
Oh yeah, I mean, I drove down to New Orleans from Baltimore.
Okay, yeah, that's a road
twice.
All right. It'd be funny if you hadn't been on one. This would be like
that would be
years
so
ago.
funny.
It was revealed to me that you'd never seen the TV show House, despite mentioning it all the time, and the road trip would have been quite the reveal as well. But you let me down, you let the audience down, and most importantly, Charlie, you let Jesus Christ down. All right,
no.
We'll see y'all next week, and thanks for listening.
Bye.